Hey, welcome back to GCS live in the shop because we all have nothing better to do. Welcome. I hope you're joining, tuning in from wherever. If you'd like to comment or ask a question, there should be a box to the bottom right, not the normal video comments, but an actual comment box. And I'll see the comments and questions that come up as we go. If there's a lot of them, I may miss yours. So if I don't address your question, then feel free to just fire it again in a couple of minutes, and I'll do my best to get to everybody's, assuming that is that there are in fact people watching. So, oh, there we go. Shop looks great. Thanks, Pat. Um, so while I'm kind of waiting for some questions that I'll try to field, because I don't have a script, I don't have stuff to talk about. I thought I'll talk about the films because people ask me from time to time for a review or what I thought about the films, especially the recent movies that have come out in the Skywalker saga. And I haven't done a review of the final film, The Rise of Skywalker. And I kind of, oh, hey, from London. Awesome. Hey, I proposed to my wife there. Great city. Long ago. So I put out on Twitter a summary of the Disney era Star Wars films, main films, Force Awakens, the Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker. And kind of the way I sum them up is, in my mind, the last film, The Rise of Skywalker, is really a well done finale to a series of three films that were disappointing. And for those of you that, no, I'll get to that in a minute. It's not a Wayfinder, that's a Sith holocron. For those of you that follow me for a while, know I'm a big fan of the expanded universe. And when it was announced that there was going to be new Star Wars films, I was cautiously optimistic. And I wanted, in essence, stories that were as good or better than the best of the Star Wars expanded universe. First film came out, no, but it really set up a second film, so I was waiting to see the second film. Second film, The Last Jedi, no. Finally, now that we've had a conclusion to the three films, hey, hi from Pittsburgh. I just feel like I would have preferred that they actually did the Thrawn trilogy or something from the expanded universe that was really excellent storytelling. We already had great characters, had a hard time buying into the new characters. I see Luke, Han, and Leia on screen, and they're not the Luke, Han, and Leia I know over the expanded universe, so I felt like this was just a retcon, a reboot. I haven't even seen the Rise of Skywalker a second time yet. I've only seen it one time, and that's telling to me. When I really love a film, I want to see it again. I want to catch every little detail, but I just kind of feel like, yeah, I'll get around to it. It's not captivating Star Wars to me. I'm not going to bash it. People ask for my opinion. There it is. I'm not really thrilled. I wish they would have done the expanded universe. Okay, questions. A couple of questions people have asked stuff about behind me. This is, for those of you that may have forgotten, I make a Sith holocron. This is metal and glass, and it's got a laser etched pattern in it, and it's really heavy, really beautiful. It's designed to be like a sculpture, and it's got a USB in it. So USB you can plug into flash memory, 64 gig, up to I think 400 is the most I offer right now. Somebody asked a question about the original films and I missed it. Waiting with bated breath for those Kylos. Yeah, there's a lot going on right now in the Saber community. How goes the quarantine? Someone asked. Jordan? As I mentioned in my last video, I'm an introvert, an extreme introvert. I love that I work alone. So other than the fact that my kids are home, not far away from me, there is zero difference to my daily routine in kind of like lockdown, quarantine, whatever you call what we've got going on here. And I don't mind it at all. I understand those of you that are extroverts, my friends who are extroverts, I've been told, are crawling the walls. I feel for you. But yeah, I'm just doing my thing. So building sabers and working on some projects. Favorite chemical weathering agents for aluminum? Moof Milker. That's a great question. It really kind of depends. I've got kind of a secret sauce that I've developed. It's not so much a chemical agent. It's a combination of a couple of different things and techniques that give, well, I'll show you an example. This is a vector saber. I'll give you an example. This is my Bane. This is a polished aluminum finish. This is the finish that I get with the weathering technique that just it kind of evenly ages the metal, and then I can do some more weathering in the cracks. I'll give you a couple of hints. I'm not going to tell you all of it. It involves, one of the steps is aluminum black, which is a chemical weathering agent that you can learn to use. There's different ways of using it, different solutions. I also use a black paint wipe sometimes in the etching, and what that does is it kind of gives the etching more of a contrast. And the aluminum black really highlights kind of like the cracks where there's bare metal and some of the scratches or dings or battle damage that you might do. So aluminum black is a great place to start when it comes to chemical weathering agents. You can also use etching solutions, whether it's copper sulfate or ferric chloride. Be really careful with some of those. What types of machines do you have? I have a milling machine, manual. I have a lathe that is, I think, every moment of 100 years old. It was 90 something when I got it. I found it resting on a friend's farm and kind of half restored it. So I do a lot of design work, and then I get my stuff CNC machined elsewhere. So a lot of prototyping and concepts I use my manual machines. Hello from Virginia. Can you show off that sweet blaster you made? Which one? There's a bunch there. Those are all Nerf blasters except for the Han Solo blaster. That's a Ruby's costume one that just painted up to look cool in there. Yeah, those are all Nerf blasters that just lightsabers as a hobby to making lightsabers as a career. You kind of need a new hobby. So as a maker, I'm always kind of trying stuff, making stuff. Wish they did the Yu Zhan Vong. Yeah, I have mixed feelings about that. I think most of those novels, the Yu Zhan Vong story and the New Jedi Order in the Expanded Universe, are excellent stories. Some of them are better than others. Some of them are brilliant. I really had a hard time wrapping my head around the concept of the Yu Zhan Vong as an enemy, but if it was done well, yeah, I would have preferred that too. How did you come up with the original sound fonts? Okay. Long story long? No, I'll make it short. My sound font started way back in the day. There was a guy named Novastar, Matthew Carudo. And he was kind of one of the original pioneers of working with Collector Labs to do sound fonts for the Collector Labs soundboards. And there was only a couple of sound fonts available. At that time, I think it was the Crystal Focus 2, and they only play a couple of sound fonts. And I liked them, but there's things, as a designer, I always think, I would have loved this, or I would love that ignition sound. So I started playing around with them to massage them for my own saber. And then I just eventually started making my own, just out of things that I wanted. I wanted a classic lightsaber sound font, or I wanted a deep-throated Sith sound font or something. And so I basically just made sound fonts as things present to me that I think, I'd really like to hear that, or I'd really like this for this saber experience. Most desired feature is limb removal. Right on time, my furnace again. Stand by. Shut off that noise. Someone asked about a crossguard saber. Will you have a real crossguard? I kind of have a rule, and it's kind of like, I call it my Ricky Gervais rule. People ask him, Ricky Gervais, how do you know and how do you do what people find funny? He goes, I don't care what people find funny. I do what I think is funny. And as a designer, I just kind of do what I think is cool. And I just have never felt like are particularly cool. They don't capture my imagination. So I probably won't do one, at least for now. I mean, things change. I never liked the Qui-Gon hilt to begin with, and it really grew on me. So things change. But at present, I don't have any desire to do a crossguard saber. And others are doing really great ones out there. So yeah, there's others out there. I'm sorry, I'm missing a lot of questions. So if I haven't addressed your question, feel free to just fire it again and just keep hammering those keys until I get it. There was a couple of them that I caught half of and that looked like really good questions. And so whoever you are, I hope you resubmit those. I love good questions. They make me sound like, they set me up to sound like I know what I'm talking about, and that helps. Do you know why the smooth swing doesn't saturate on CFX Profi, although it's very loud? I don't know how to answer that other than, because I haven't, like I said, I haven't played with the Profi board. They're different tech. And so there's going to be subtle strengths and weaknesses in each. And I know that Irv, the developer of the Crystal Focus and the Collector Labs boards, is kind of like me, a bit of an audiophile. So he's a bit obsessed with getting things right. And so if it doesn't sound as loud, some people may find that as a knock. If a Crystal Focus board doesn't sound as loud as another board, but to me, it sounds clearer and more balanced, and it's maybe what I want. I don't necessarily want loud, I want good. And as I understand it, the Crystal Focus, this is great. I wish I could figure out a way to get YouTube to keep the comments there a little bit longer. Blaster, I made a video a while back. Do you think I'll ever make to sell them? I probably not. I sold one, and the reason is the amount of time it takes to put into making and painting a blaster. It just, I would have to charge hundreds and hundreds of dollars to make my time worthwhile to make it and sell it. So I'm not efficient enough at that form of art to really do it. I just don't feel like a painted blaster is necessarily a $700 or $800 thing unless it's really good. The one they sold actually had a Crystal Focus or a Collector Labs blaster core in it, made all the sounds and everything like that. That was a lot of work. So selling anything gun-like, yeah, is much more difficult. Someone says I'd pay it. Okay, Troy, keep your eyes open. I don't know. A lot of the stuff I sell is stuff that I make for myself, and then eventually I want to make room on my wall for more things, so I sell things that I made for myself. Favorite metal, or plastic epoxy? I don't have one. It's a good question. One of the reasons is in everything I design, particularly sabers, I try to make everything mechanical. Screws, bolts, locking, mechanical, solid connections that are vibration proof. So I generally don't use things like epoxy. I have an electronics epoxy that I use on one particular application just to cover a couple of contacts so they don't come into contact with the body of the saber as a kind of like a redundancy for to protect against short circuits. But that's an electrical epoxy. I generally don't use a lot of mechanical glues and things like. Or sorry, I do opt for mechanical. I don't use a lot of glues and adhesives and things in the sabers. Do you create with manual or machines? I generally work with the manual machines because I haven't got into CNC yet. Big expense. The productions that I do, I have them run on CNC machines. I've got 2 shops that I work with. Someone asked, was my favorite saber design that I made? Someone asked that last time too, and I have a really hard time answering that. I don't know. I don't know right now. Do you ever get into a role play mentality as you're designing your building? And Clone Wars Season 7, I will address that in a minute. Krayt Bone effect. Wow, these are great questions. Now I'm trying to remember what the question was just a second ago that I was going to answer. Something about techniques, machining, CNC. Yeah, I don't know. Clone Wars Episode 7. I generally didn't like any of the Clone Wars. Here's my unpopular opinion for those of you that want to follow me. I don't like the character of Ahsoka. I don't really like much in the way of the Jedi and the way the Jedi were used in the Clone Wars. It's not that I'm against women characters. I love Hera. I love Mara Jade. I just never really bought into the storylines of the Clone Wars. Plus, I was really ticked off that they messed with the Mandalorian ethos and culture. They're now, of course, swinging back to that after the destruction of Mandalore. But of course, you may know in the Star Wars Expanded Universe, Mandalore was destroyed 1,000 years ago, and there have been roving, marauding mercenaries ever since. So they messed with a bunch of things. I think Clone Wars would have been better if they just focused on the clones and maybe had a Jedi cameo every once in a while. There were some really good episodes there. So we are watching Season 7. I want to see where it goes, how it sets up things like The Mandalorian. I'm a big fan of Star Wars Rebels. We're also watching that again. Really enjoy Star Wars Rebels. Really well done. And again, I apologize for all the questions that I just missed. Little orange cat. I think, yeah, someone was asking about Verso. Again, it's one of those things that's on my periphery. Yes, I think the original Knights of the Old Republic was genius, brilliant storytelling by Drew Karpyshyn, who's also the one that wrote the Bane trilogy. You may not be aware. A little known fact: I sent a voice demo recorded in the studio to BioWare to try to get my foot in the door for voice acting. Can't you just tell by the sound of my voice that I'd make a brilliant, nasally, annoying character in a video game? Anyways, never went anywhere. Knights of the Old Republic, love it. The second one wasn't so much. I never got into playing the Old Republic online. Just, I don't know, never got into it. But I love the Knights of the Old Republic stories. Brilliant stuff. Missed a whole bunch more questions. Do I build cannon sabers for myself? Excellent question. Let me show you. I have a couple. This is an orbital machining Obi-Wan prequel hilt that was widely regarded as the most accurate functioning prequel hilt. Luke V2. This is something that years ago. I've got a few other ones as well. So yes, I do have replica cannon hilts in my own personal collection, which is right over there. It's not much of a museum per se. Maybe I'll show it in the next video. So yes, let's say I do have some cannon hilts for myself. I don't sell replicas for a couple of reasons. I tell people, number one, I want to be the designer. I want to present my work, my creations. And second, I don't ever want to get sued by Lucasfilms, so I want them to actually pay me for my designs. That would be great. Again, I missed another question there. I apologize. It's going really well. I don't know if it's the same three people asking all the questions or if there's actually a lot of you tuning in, but thank you. I really, like I said in my last live video, I really appreciate all you guys supporting my work. You want a video of the work table in the background. That will be coming when I'm done. There was another question about base material for Krayt Bone. Haha, trade secrets. I share a lot about how to do stuff, and maybe someday if I retire, I will spill the beans on all the things that I've invented or innovated over the years so that everybody can try around with it. I've done a number of different things to simulate bone, but as an artist, I just play. I play with it until it feels right, until it looks right. That's all I'm going to tell you. Any new Elite designs coming? I haven't done a GCS Elite Saber since we switched over to the Crystal Focus 10. Because a lot of the inner parts that I use are going to have to be kind of modified. I do plan to do it. I just haven't had the time yet. The old GCS Elite Sabers would use a 7.4 volt lithium ion battery to power the older Crystal Focuses. Now that's kind of redundant. Everything can be done with a 3.7. So that's just going to mean some chassis changes and some balance changes, and I haven't really just played with that until I'm happy with it. Favorite things of the Disney movies? It's a good question. Solo. Far and away, absolutely my favorite thing of the Disney era movies is Solo. And probably the main reason for that is, besides the fact that it was a brilliantly done film, it really honored the expanded universe with a lot of Easter eggs, and it featured and really, really honored my favorite character in the Star Wars films, which is Millennium Falcon. And when L3, is L3 the droid, the brain memory got merged with the Falcon, and all of a sudden you just hear echoes of C-3PO in Empire Strikes Back going, I don't know where your ship learned to communicate. It has the most peculiar dialect. I'm like, that's how that happened. And I'm like, yes. And every time the Falcon engines would kick up and the music it was just like my heart would soar. I loved the film. Solo was brilliant. Best thing in the Disney area films, in my opinion. There's probably other tidbits and things in the other films. One of the things that makes it really difficult about the new films is because J.J. Abrams, he's the guy that invented Lost, short on details. It's all about the characters in the story, short on details. That doesn't float with me. I need to know why in the world is the First Order is copying the Empire and trying to improve on everything. They could have explained that. How in the world, they get from point A to point B, why they changed from not being able to use communication in hyperspace to all of a sudden being able to use communication in hyperspace. All of a sudden you can hyperspace out of an atmosphere in the gravity well of a planet, just things that I didn't like, detail stuff. So it made it really hard. God has been up to very little. What he's doing right now is what he does. His functional battery charger for my cell phone, but I haven't been out of the shop, so I haven't needed to use him for that. So he just wanted, to be in the backdrop today. So, I'd like to say more good things about the new era films because there were a lot of things. I mean, the action, the flow, the pace of things is really good. I just get bogged down with things that bug me. I mean, I love the art of The Force Awakens. Jakku, beautiful art. Rogue One, beautiful artwork on Jeddah with the Fallen Jedi statue. Some beautiful shots that I just love. Rogue One is also someone asked is also a film that I really enjoy. I rate Solo higher, but I do really enjoy Rogue One as well. Favorite blaster design? Uh, Jordan likes Boba Fett's, and someone else mentioned a DL-44. Yeah, I don't know if I have a favorite blaster design. I think I like them all for different reasons. There's nothing that really grabs me. I mean, maybe the DL-44 is kind of the classic. Cool Greebly furniture. If you want interested in learning about Greeblies, follow the Smuggler's Room. Brian over there does some amazing work with prop design, and he's done a lot of work at basically showing and articulating how to get, design, use Greeblies. Been very helpful in some of the stuff that I've been doing here. I've started a collection. It's in storage of all kinds of odd things that I think I might use someday. Junk that turns into Greeblies. Furniture. Yes, my family is a bunch of Star Wars nuts. My kids are still young enough that they don't, this isn't really special to them. They're like, yeah, I'm sure everybody's dad does stuff like this. I'm like, no, I'm cooler. I keep telling them. Would you do a crossover, say, between the Star Wars universe and a different universe franchise? I have mentioned the Halo saber. I also dabbled with the idea of Assassin's Creed saber of some kind. I've done Skyrim influenced art in sabers, so that's about as far as a crossover as I would get. To me, it would still need to visually function as a saber. So I didn't want to do too much of a crossover. The Halo thing was kind of I don't know, it was a kind of a one-off. That was back in the day when I would accept commissions and people would pitch to me what they would like, and hey, I need the work. Sure, I'll do that. Sure, I'll do that. But I found myself drawing some projects more than others. So then I kind of pared it down to, jobs that I would like, things that captivated my attention. And eventually I just got too busy. I couldn't accept those either. So I just produce things that I like and auction them. Someone asked if I'm a hockey fan. Yes, I've been a hockey fan for a very long time. I'm an old school big boy hockey fan, bites and hits. Hockeyfights.com if you want to follow on Twitter. That's all I'm going to say about that. Yes, I'm a real hockey fan. Calgary Flames. Old school. Have you done any crossguard sabers again? Someone asked that. No, probably won't, just because they don't really grab me. Not my thing. Would you ever publish a video showing some machining techniques or the processes that aren't personal trade secrets? Yes, I have in one of the playlists on YouTube that you're watching right now. It's called Mad Cow Shop Secrets, and it contains a bunch of videos that I've done over the years, some of them for the Custom Saber Shop, that are basically just little how-to things. Some of them are using old tech and old styles, but there's a lot of nuggets in there about, weathering or soldering or lining things up or some basic machining or cleaning up scratches, or speaker mounting and resonance, all kinds of little things like that. And I will probably, as time allows, do more videos. I did one showing how to build a NeoPixel blade. I'll probably do more of those as time allows. Just basically tips and tricks, but not trade secrets. How did you curve the Bane saber? Interesting story. There is, back in the day, a few of us were trying to build from scrap a Dooku replica. And the closest thing we could find to match a certain part of the curve was the wand of a vacuum cleaner. And I've got a particular vacuum cleaner wand that's stainless steel that I source and have used now for the curve in the Bane saber. So that stainless steel part is actually a replacement part of a particular vacuum cleaner. The metal and tubular. If you try to bend aluminum, it's going to kink. There's going to be marks in it. It's not bended nicely. So a mandrel bender uses a die, which is a big, heavy piece of metal that's curved, and that it presses and forms the metal into a particular curve. So you get a die for whatever particular curve you're doing. And what's the difference between a tip, trick, and a trade secret? A tip or a trick would be a helpful offering some information that will help you do your thing a little bit better. Trade secret will be something that I don't want to give away because I don't want to enable people to compete with me and take away my livelihood. I don't know if that answers your question. Do you plan to upgrade your personal saber Fulcrum 3 Yes. At this point, though, technology has advanced so much with Crystal Focus 10 and NeoPixel that I would have to completely start from scratch, and I may do that at some point. Sources other than Crystal's Custom Saber Shop to acquire parts. Yes, one of my videos basically goes into some parts. So basically chassis parts, there's a whole aisle at Home Depot. All kinds of really great brass fittings and things that you can use for chassis parts. Scrap, junk, metals. Basically, if you've got the tools to work with it, you can find raw materials to make stuff. That's what we're doing. We're just making stuff. Do you think Clone Wars lines up with Star Wars Rebels and also The Mandalorian? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. A lot of people are speculating that Clone Wars Season 7 is going to end with the siege of Mandalore and the destruction of the planet, relegating the Mandalorians to what, in the expanded universe, they've been for 1,000 years, kind of, warrior creed mercenaries. Favorite non-movie parts of Star Wars? I love the original artwork of Ralph McQuarrie, and I love Rebels because it borrows heavily on the original artwork of Ralph McQuarrie. Ralph McQuarrie just captured these beautiful faraway places, which is one of the things I love about Star Wars. Is the shots and the scenes just make you want to go to Cloud City in Bespin, or even Nice World of Hoth, although I know a little bit about what that's like, and it's not really all that exotic. So there are ship designs, and again, this is another thing about the new films that I just didn't really like. There wasn't a lot of new ships, new tech that made me go, oh, that's really cool. It was like, oh, that's just an updated TIE fighter. Oh, that's just an updated Star Destroyer that doesn't look as cool as the older Star Destroyer. So the original Star, I love the probe droid. The Viper probe droid, got one right here. On YouTube, one of my shop secrets is a home built project of how I made that. It's wind chimes. I love the Viper probe droid. It's one of the cool art things. And maybe I'll do another backdrop day where I show my star chart. That's another really cool Star Wars imagery. There's a lot of Star Wars imagery that I love. And what you may not know, Star Wars, when it came out, A New Hope, in the 70s, was the first science fantasy film that actually used old, weathered, beat-up technology. To that point, all science fiction had been pristine, new, polished, shiny. And Star Wars went against that, and almost like an Old West, beat-up Star Wars universe that that has given launch to all kinds of things, from aliens to Firefly, all kinds of really cool, beautiful prop and set design that came from Star Wars. I'm going to probably wrap this up fairly quickly. If there's any last questions that I missed, just fire away. I'm reading kind of through the things that are scrolling. I will show you a couple of things. I didn't get to it earlier, but what are your thoughts on the Old Republic books, games? Maybe get into that next time. I wanted to show you, I don't know if you can see it. This is Bane 13. It's going to be auctioned on May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. And that's the crystal reveal. And of course, my chassis. My Calibrate sound font. And I showed you the holocron, and this has been fun. Kind of feel like we're all over the map, just trying to, maybe if you didn't get your question answered, I'll try to address it last time, or address it next time. I'm not a time traveler, despite what the setting may indicate. And I want to end by just saying thank you again to everyone who follows my work, everyone who likes an image, who clicks subscribe on the YouTube channel. That's enormously helpful to me, building a fan base and a resume and a reputation in this industry to keep doing what I love. And you're a part of that, and I really appreciate it. Even if it's just buying a t-shirt from the shop. Every little bit helps, and it really means a lot to me. And for those of you I know who are struggling, who maybe have lost a job, I want you to know that I think everyone is suffering a little bit, and we're all in this together. So keep your head up, and thanks again, and we'll see you next time.